Hi, I'm Theo, and I'm here to tell you about the mini crossword and the New York Times and what's going on. So, quick disclaimer though, ahead of the video, the rest of the video is kind of like just me rambling and going through all these financial documents and figuring it out for myself and just bringing you along with me. It's a little all over the place. So, I'm going to give you a quick summary before the video even starts. And if it satisfies you, leave a like, get out of here. And hopefully, I'll see you next quarter for when we get to see the results after the paywalling. These are the results as of August 6th before all the paywalling. So here's a quick summary. I mean, like, high level, level one, it's just money. I mean, it's always money, right? It's always money. Yeah, they have shareholders to appease, and they make money. They're a for-profit company. Level one, it's just money. Level two is they have about 11.88 million subscribers who pay for all their services, including cooking, news, and even The Athletic, which is their recently acquired news advertising platform, and then the Wirecutter, which is like their service advertising platform, and the games. About 1 million of those subscribers pay just for the games. But at 11.88, they have a goal of actually reaching 15 million subscribers by 2027. That's in under 2 years. They only make 1 million subscribers per year on average, about 230 subscribers per quarter. And they've actually been trending down just a little bit. So they're actually not going to reach their goal of 15 million subscribers by 2027. They're actually going to reach around 14 million based off their projections, and it's not good to miss your projections by 1 whole million subscribers. So they need a strategy to increase the subscriber count within the next under like 1.5 to 1.7 years. One way they think of doing that is by taking one of their most popular games, the mini crossword, which has about 500 million plays per year. Most of the gameplays come from Wordle. That was of like 2022, 2023. I don't know the numbers now because they don't publicize the numbers fully transparently anymore for some reason. But most of them were from Wordle. The next half is probably from the mini crossword, and then they keep emphasizing spelling bee for some reason. I don't know, something going on with spelling bee. And they just released a new game called Pips. It's not that bad. It's quite fun. It's like a domino Sudoku thing. And because they released a new game, their justification is, hey, there's a new game. Just play this game, and then the other games will be behind a paywall. That's the level 2 and 3 summary. If you want to hear more about some of the numbers and just hear me ramble about the rest of this, please watch the video. But that's really all you need to know. Next quarter, I'm going to do another report breaking it down. When we get to see their next quarterly report showing off the results of this. Okay, so just last night, I went to go play the mini crossword on the New York Times. And as many of you may have noticed, boom, paywall. It was actually one of my favorite games. I like the connections and I like the mini crossword. I didn't play every day. I play a couple times a week, and sometimes I'd skip a couple weeks. I'm just your average normal user. Sometimes I use it, sometimes I don't. Which means because it's behind a paywall, I'm never going to play it ever again unless it comes off the paywall. So I wanted to know, why did they do it? And personally, I hope it fails so that they revert it to free. There's a couple responses online. And through one of the articles I found, a company talks to them, reaches out to one of their marketing correspondents, and they make a very generic response. They say, with the launch of Pips, which honestly isn't that bad. It's a domino calculation Sudoku game. Kind of fun. Earlier this month, we now offer 10 distinct puzzles, a rich and diverse portfolio that reflects both the breadth and gameplay and the depth of our experiences our team of puzzle editors and constructors has built. They're pretty much saying, we've made another game, we have another game, it's free, you can play that, and we have some subscription games. And now we have a huge breadth of games, and we have a wide variety of things that people can play. And we know how ads works. These people, they just have some BS PR answer, and then you move on your day, and it's never satisfactory. So I decided to dive in to what I think is the core of this problem. And it's really the core of many problems. I think we all know what it is. We all know what it is. Money, money, money. That makes the world go round, and it's really the source of the world's problems, so I'm not surprised. It's always money. And fortunately, the good thing about all these big, giant companies is they usually have a lot of mandatory reporting to do, especially the public ones. And fortunately, we can go ahead and just look at all of their reportings and filings. They're right here on the investors' reporting and filings. They have some for the year, and they have one for 2024, and they did a full one of that. And then they have some that they do every quarter. And the quarter of Q2 just ended earlier this month, before all the changes and launching and of everything. So what we can do is we can look at the money that they made off the games and see what's happened and figure out why did they start charging for the crossword. So let's go ahead and open up the earnings for the Q2 2025, which ended just this month, August 6th. And here's some of the highlights that I saw from this. Something to note is I'm going to do as much of a deep dive into this as I can in the next 30 minutes or 40 minutes I have of research time before I have to go off to a meeting. But okay, so here's some of the highlights. One of the highlights is they've gained approximately 250,000 subscribers just in this quarter. So over the past year, if you go down here, they've gained almost 1 million extra subscribers, which is good for them. They're hoping to have a target. They hope to hit 15 million by 2027. So in just under 2 years, they need to gain another 3.54 million another 3.5 million subscribers. If they gain at 1 a year, that means they're not on track to hit it by 2027. And it's usually not good to miss your projections. So they hope to hit 15 million. And one way they hope to increase subscribers is, I assume, doing this, which we'll talk about in a second. But some more highlights from this quarterly report is they've also increased ARPU, which is the annual revenue per user, so per subscriber. They've increased it by nearly 30 cents. So they've gone from $9.30 per user, per subscriber, to $9.64. So they managed to increase it by 30 cents over the past year. And they say that's primarily because of here the transition from promotional pricing for tenured subscribers. And what that means is, if we go over here to subscribe, what we'll see here is that it says you can buy the game subscription for $18 a year. People buy that for 1 year, and after your first year, it starts rolling over, and you get this this non-promotional price, the $50 a year. And trick if you don't know this, cancel your subscription, or at least go to cancel it. And sometimes I had one brand offer me 50% off permanently just to not cancel. I accepted it, and I'm still subscribed even though I don't use that thing anymore. It's terrible. I really get suckered into that stuff. So it sometimes works. A lot of people don't like to admit it, but sure, I do like doing the free trials, but sometimes you do forget to cancel it. Even though something offers you a free trial or a discounted trial, a lot of people forget to cancel that for that first month. And maybe after the first month they'll pay and then they cancel after that. But I mean, you get a lot of people in that first year. So they say that's the reason for increasing 30 cents per user. I personally think it's because it was just cheaper before. This used to be $5 and now it's $6. I think they're saying that just to sound like it took some financial maneuvering. I think it just increased the prices and people are just paying more. So yeah, it's increased by 30 cents, by 3%, and that's going up. So they've increased the amount of people subscribing by 1 million. They've increased the amount of money they can make per subscriber by 30 cents of that total 11.8 million people that they have. And a lot of that is coming primarily from, so if we start looking at where the money comes from, a lot of it primarily comes from digital. Their print subscriptions have decreased by nearly 4%, which is to be expected. People don't buy print as much anymore, and a lot of their money is coming from digital only. We can see the total revenue per year is 2.5. I think it's maybe like $2.7 billion now. So they make a lot of money, and a lot of that is coming from digital subscriptions. But I want to know, how much do they make for the games? So here's how they break down the revenues. They have subscriptions and advertising, so people pay them to advertise, and they make the most from the subscriptions. Of those subscriptions, they make the most from the digital-only subscriptions. And the print, they don't make as much. Here's how they break it down. They break it down by bundle and multi-product, and news-only and single product. News-only being their least profit, or making the least amount of money for people who just want the news. And then they have other single product, which is everything else. And here's the problem. They bundle this in with The Athletic, which is their sports program. Audio, which is all their audio media. Cooking, they have cooking stuff. The games, which is what we're here for. And the Wirecutter. The Wirecutter is their product review buying guide stuff. But because of the games, they're bundled in with everything else. We actually don't know how much they make just from the games. We can make a couple guesses, but that's why we don't really know the actual answer for this, because they bundle in with everything else, and it's quite unfortunate. I really wish I just had a solid number. And you can hear it in what he said. He said there is pretty much the core of the reasons for why I think they made these changes, and it's kind of this luring effect that many subscription models do. It's not predatory in any way necessarily, but it's you give something free to someone, they come in, they play it for free, and then I think the only thing predatory is the fact that it doesn't say I have to subscribe when I hover over this. It should say subscribe. Please change that. But like, you go in, you're like, okay, we'll play some free games, and then eventually there's like some other stuff that you can do on here. Maybe it's only one per day, so maybe I want to play some of the older ones. I can't play some of the older ones, I have to pay for that. I really want to play some of the maybe I want to do like from mini to a bigger crossword. I want to play the bigger crossword. I need to subscribe for that. So it's this funnel. You go in, you play for free, and then eventually you might want to pay for something. And I think that's really the main reason they're doing this, is they want to get more subscribers. They can't hit it by just growing like 1 million a year. They have to do maybe 1.5 to 1.2, 1.3 million subscribers per year. And so many people love the mini. I think these are one of their favorite games internally. Even though Wordle is the most played out of all these games, I think internally they love the crossword, because the crosswords are just iconic for news organizations. And then the mini, and then the spelling bee. That is something I noticed. He did mention the spelling bee a lot compared to these other games. And they put these three up here for a reason. They're kind of meant to be mainstay games. That you don't need to put Wordle up there, because people come to the site for Wordle, and then they want to show them these other games as soon as they arrive. And I think that's why I love the mini so much. It was just a really good game. It was a good entry-level crossword. Because don't even get me started on trying to do a normal crossword. That's just ridiculous. But the reason they're doing this is money. They want more subscribers. Many people want to play mini. And the thing is, many people are now going to start subscribing. That's kind of the name of the game. And one more thing is bad publicity. I mean, a lot of people are negatively reacting to this. I went on to a subreddit. I want to find public sentiment. I went on to Reddit, and I found someone saying, I saw someone say, F you, New York Times, and then a guy below them said, wow. Daily CNN, by the way. Daily CNN. Okay. Wow, what an entitled attitude. They created it, and they can do whatever they want. And I won't expand too much upon this, because you're free to have your own opinion. But if something was free initially, and it was working, and people were liking it, and it was enjoyable, why change it? The only reason that you can kind of agree with something being charged or paywalled, if it was previously free, is if something was going to be shut down because if it didn't make enough money, it was going to be stopped. But that wasn't the case. This is a $2.7 billion company. They make that much money per year, and off of 11 million people, they make nearly $5 off of them per week. I don't think that was the biggest issue. I think what they wanted to do was simply just make more money. What's going to happen? They made some money off of advertising. I honestly think they could have just put a second ad. Okay, they do have two. They put a third ad on the page to keep it free if they just wanted more money. But it's like, man, if something was good to begin with, you didn't need to change it. They changed it just because they wanted to, just because they wanted more money. It's quite sad. Unfortunately, I've been looking through the numbers, and because they just don't break it down by section, it's really hard to know how much they made from the gaming. We can know that they had 1 million subscribers just for the games. Wait. That's the it. I'm so dumb. We know they have 1 million plus subscribers for the games. Okay, so I have to go to a meeting. I'm going to calculate how much they made just off of the games, and we're gonna break this down a little bit. Because what we can do is we can take the million subscribers they have just for the games. Here's what I'll do. I'm going to calculate from the numbers that we've heard how much money they're making just for the games. I mean, we can already make a guess. If they have 1 million users paying just for the games, and they're making an average of like $9 per user, and they have 1 million users, I mean that's $9 million, and then they're $9 per user. Okay, so in their single product, they make an average of $3.65 per user. It's actually gone down a little, so it's gone down to $3.51 per user just for the single product. If they have 1 million, I think it's being brought down a little by the other subscriptions. But let's say they make $3.50 per user. They've had over 1 million users, and that was a couple years ago. And they've gained about, how many subscribers? Is it like 3%? So they gain a certain percent of subscribers every year. We can calculate that. So I have to go for a little bit. I'm going to calculate it, and we'll be back. Okay, now for the fun part. Okay, I made an error before. I recalculated everything. We're going to go ahead and go through that now. So there's two important numbers I want to calculate for my own personal sanity. That's what this whole video is about. It's purely what my interests are in the moment of my current state of being. One of them being moving out and making some money. Two, what the heck is going on with my mini crosswords that brought me peace in the mornings whenever I was drinking my tea and having my cereal. Let's get down to the bottom of this. So the first number we want to calculate is how much money are they making from the mini crossword, and more generally, how much money are they making from the New York Times games. The second number we want to calculate is what portion of that, what's the ratio of that compared to the money they're making from the news and from their general revenue. That way we can know if it's a large percentage, then we know that it's very, very important to them. If it's a low percentage, then we know the importance is kind of diminishing. We're going to compare this to the 2021 revenue numbers to see if it's grown or decreased. And that will give me just some general sense of how important are New York Times games to them compared to the news. So, because I don't want to do graphics, we have our handy dandy pad here. So, in 2021, they released a quick little graphic that said they had 1 million subscribers in cooking and 1 million subscribers in games. This is the only numbers I could find that showed how many subscribers they had in the games. I couldn't find this number anywhere else. So we're going to use this to extrapolate all the way up to 2025 by guesstimating how much growth they have per year. Okay. So if they have 1 million subscribers in games just in 2021, we can actually estimate, because they only had 2.1 million subs in, what is it, non-news digital. Okay, so in 2021 it was quite simple. They didn't even calculate ARPU, which was the annual average revenue per user. They had the news product subscriptions and the other product subscriptions, and then they had print only. We're not going to do print only. Yeah, okay. So out of their 2.1 million subscribers that they had for subscriptions that were not news related, they only had two products at the time, or two important products at the time: cooking and games. Their third was Wirecutter, which to this day is barely out of the question, because out of the 2.1, 1 million of them were games, 1 million was cooking. Again, the numbers say 1 million plus, so it's a lot of guesstimation now. But now we can finally assume that they had 1 million people playing games, which means half of all their subscriptions that weren't news related were games, which is a whole lot of subscriptions actually. And then the other 138,000 were for Wirecutter. And what we can determine is they made a total of how much? $80 million off of just the non-news related subscription revenue. Yeah, about that. They made a lot more off of news. They made about 600 million off of news. So news was definitely their biggest revenue source at the time. and only 80 million of that was from the non-news digital subscriptions. However, because they made 80 million total off of the 2.1 million subscriptions, we can then know that they made 40 million, a terrible for $40 million just off games, which is a whole lot. So in 2021, they made $40 million in just 1 year off of these subscriptions, purely off of games, New York Times games. That's a whole lot of money that they're making off of Wordle at the time. Okay, sorry, really quick. I did Wordle release. I'm not editing this because it's too late. October 2021. Yeah, so the year they released Wordle, they started making bank, $40 million. It's a lot. Actually, that'd be so interesting to look at. Oh, man. I don't look at the numbers. I'm done with this already. I'm done with this. It's currently it's too late, and I just need to upload this thing. I wish I could go into the numbers. Oh man, I really want to know about the numbers though. The numbers, Mason. Okay. Sorry. Let's get back on track here. So we can calculate that this 40 million that they made off of games was 5% of the total digital-only subscription revenue in 2021 for the New York Times. 5%. This isn't total revenue. Total revenue, it's split up between subscriptions and advertising. Those are the two primary sources of revenue. They have a couple others, but subscription and advertising, people paying them to advertise things, and people subscribing to their things. Subscription is one of their biggest. In 2025, I think it was about 1.7 billion. But yeah, it's where most of their money comes from. Let me just double check there. In 2024, the total digital-only subscription, they made 1.7 million off of total subscriptions just in 2024. And then the other came from advertising, about half a billion, and then other was 300,000. Okay, so we know that 5% of all the money they make off of subscriptions that are digital is New York Times games. That's a lot. But let's jump to 2025. So what we have to do is we have to extrapolate the growth rate of subscribers. So before they had 8.8. Sorry, I don't know if I forgot to mention this. So they have 8.8 total million subs in 2021, which means this is about 1/8 of total subscribers that they had were just in the games, because about half of that was, or a decent amount of that was just the print. Take that off. It's about 1/8. Okay, let's just estimate 1/8 to make it easy on ourselves. So if this is 1/8, then that means that 1/8 of their current subscribers, which is 11.8 million subscribers that they have currently. I've been looking at these numbers so long, I just kind of know some of them. 1/8 of 11.8 million subscribers is about 1.4 million. Let's block this off. Okay, so 1.4 million subscribers was just for the games in 2025, meaning they gained about 400,000 subscribers in a couple years. Could be more, could be a lot more actually, could be a lot less. Again, they're in 2025 and 2024, they break up the numbers by bundled, bundled, news, and single. That bundled could have anything in there. We don't really know. They don't specify significantly. They have some numbers every now and then, but it's not enough to extrapolate. The only thing I've seen is 6% of those are for corporate entities and educational entities. I don't really know. Which is about 500,000 or 500 million. Sorry, no, 500,000, 650,000. Anyways, let's assume that they grew just a tiny bit. This is going to be on the lower end, to 1.4 million subscribers just for the games. We can now assume that with their average ARPU, average revenue per user, annual revenue per user, average revenue per user is about 9.42. On the higher end, you can get up to $12 per user. for things like the news and for their bundles. So the bundles and news are their best paying per user. Sorry, so they definitely want more users to be using their digital or their news digital and their bundled digital products. However, the average revenue per user is quite low for single products. For single products, not news related, not bundled. It goes down to like $3.90. I think this number is too low because they bundle in other things now. They bundle in the athletic, which are their sports audio, cooking, and Wirecutter products. I think that this number is lower than it needs to be. So we're going to be using the average $9.42 per user for the average of single products because they may be making more in some of the bundle products. I think it's good to just take the average versus the skewed, really low average. We could try like $5 average revenue per user. It's really hard to calculate. I mean, it's not really hard to calculate. They tell you how they calculate it, but I am quite lazy, so I won't be doing that. But I think that number's too low, so we're going to be using the 942. That will increase the high end of that, like skews our average up, whereas taking the 1.4 skews it down. I think it kind of averages out. Again, this is an estimate. This is a guess. I'm no finance guy. This is just like it. Can you blame me? Can you blame me? No, you can't. And if you do, I'm blaming you. All right. So of the 1.4 million, we can now take the $9.42 that they make on average per user, which is the ARPU. I love that word, ARPU. ARPU to you too, sir. And my mistake before was I thought this was per year. This is actually per month. So then we take this, multiply it by 12, and this number, add this all up, do it in your head, quick, write in the comments, what is it? $160 million for just gaming revenue. I know it's Jesus Christ, that is really a mess. I'm so sorry for you guys. Holy cow. $160 for gaming revenue. And that really is a mess, huh? Which is a lot of money. I wish it was higher. Why do I wish it was higher? I don't know. I thought it would be higher, but it's not. Again, this is like our low, high average of games. I think it's a little on the low end. But for now, $160 million per year just for gaming subscriptions. Again, this is not including bundled subscriptions. Here's the next thing, though. If we take the average of this, the ratio of how much it is for digital-only subscription revenue, remember it was 5%, which means that most of the revenue, 5% of it was coming from gaming for their digital-only subscriptions. We use that because digital-only subscriptions is where they make the most amount of money, so it's quite important to them. Out of the 160 million, if we take that compared to the total 1.2 billion that they make for digital-only subscription revenue, we figure out that the gaming revenue is 12.7% of their digital-only subscription revenue. Isn't that crazy? 12.7%. That's crazy. Which means, in 2021, 5% of their digital-only subscription revenue was coming from games. In 2024, 2025, 12.7%, almost 13% of the revenue was coming from gaming, which means the amount of revenue they're making from gaming as a ratio of how much they're making compared to the other products doubled in just a couple years. And I think this number is even like a little higher as well. So it's more than doubled in just the past couple years, which is crazy. I think I had a couple other observations, and news print subscriptions going down. The news only is really small compared to the bundled and multi-product. Wirecutter, not that great. Audio, pretty small. Cooking and games seem to be like hand in hand. They're quite similar in revenue. That might have switched over the past couple of years. Again, they don't break up the numbers anymore. But boom, there we go. That number is interesting to me. The amount of money they made as a ratio of the total digital-only subscription revenue has doubled because of the games. That is crazy. That's crazy. Connections being one of the most recent games that they had that were pretty popular. I don't think Strands was that good at all, which is the one they released after. But I mean, Connections and Wordle and Mini Crossword were kind of the heavy hitters. Meaning they literally made an extra $100 million off of Connections and Wordle. Just boom, out of thin air, $100 million bucks, which is crazy. Anyways, I think that number satisfies me. That quenches my hunger for figuring out what was going on here, and how important it is to them. Gaming is a really big portion of their revenue now. Really big portion. I mean, 13% of their digital-only subscriptions, and digital-only subscriptions is where they make most of their money from. I think that's really interesting. Wow. So, I think that number's really cool. Next quarter, we'll be doing a little update. Maybe, I think I'll be moved by then. I mean, I'll definitely be moved by then, and moved out of my current place. And who knows? Maybe if you guys want me to, if this gets decent amount of support, if there's interest, if this gets 5 views, I'm not wasting my time. I am not wasting my time. But if it gets, if it does pretty well, I'll do a more in-depth and more maybe refined analysis of all this stuff, because I know this is really rambly. I'm already 16 minutes in about talking about some random numbers. If it does well, I'll do a deeper dive in the next quarter, and we're gonna see what the increase was for the single product subscription revenue compared to the last 2 quarters, and we're gonna see if they match up. And if there's a big difference, I think we know why. I'm very interested to see if it goes up or down. It's probably going to go up because just more attention means more people will be buying it. But who knows? Maybe people will rally together. Maybe people will do a boycott or something, and maybe it'll go down, which I doubt will happen. But we'll see. Very interesting. I'm gonna just slap this in there and publish it now, because I've spent. Yeah, that's all I gotta say. All right, that was fun. It was cool. It was good to just scratch my little, my brain waves in there. I don't know. It's way too late. I don't know why I'm doing this anymore. Peace. Mini Crossword, please come back. I need you. Okay, hopefully you enjoyed, but before you go, I'm going to make you guys a promise, okay? Even though we didn't come to a concrete answer, what I can do is next quarter, there's going to be another earnings presentation. So, this quarter ended right before they made the changes. Next quarter will be after they make the changes. So what we can do is we can look at the numbers, and we could say, if there was a significant difference or a change in anything, their single product revenues, their bundle revenues, any of the revenues, if it jumps up significantly, or maybe it jumps down significantly, we can confidently say that was probably mostly attributed to the mini crossword. We'll check for some confounding variables, but that will be a statement that we can make. So if you subscribe, hit the subscribe button. Next quarter, I'll do this. You're probably going to forget, but I'll make the video. It'll come out. It'll show up in your feed, and you'll see it. It'll be like, thank you for reminding me. Let's figure out what happened. Figure out exactly why New York Times did this. So yeah, I'm sorry we couldn't come to a super concrete answer now, but hopefully you enjoyed what we did talk about. Feel free to have some discourse in the bottom below. I'm not liable for anything you guys say down there. Yeah, hopefully you enjoyed. I'm Theo. I do have a series coming up soon about what it's like to be broke
graduating college with no job and no place to live. It's pretty tough right now. I actually wanted to make the series before I moved out, but I like move out in a couple weeks, so obviously that didn't happen. And I'm like one lazy MF. I wish I got that series out. Anyways, I digress. See you in the next video. Goodbye, and keep crosswording. If you have any good recommendations, I do recommend the Seattle Mini Crossword. That one's pretty good. Alright, goodbye. See you later. Peace.